Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome to Can't Catch a Break. I'm DJ.
Hey, I'm Dr. Char. I am happy to be with you guys on today.
Yay. It's back, y'all.
I thank you, Mr. DJ, for carrying on while I was absent. Um, a lot of things have gone on, since I been here on this podcast. Um, but I'm thankful that we have carried on this podcast.
Yes.
Can't catch a break. It's important to us that we keep you informed on everyday life issues.
Yes.
And that's what we want to do. We want to just give information, education on everyday life issues.
Yes.
Can't catch a break.
Can't catch a break.
Things that happen in our lives that seem like it's out of our hands and out of our control. Um, and so we're here to let you know that you can make it. There is hope. And that your life may be complicated. But you don't have to stay stuck. That there is a rainbow, silver lining behind the cloud.
Yes.
No, because we are a living testament of that. Our lives is complicated, but God has brought us through.
Yes.
You say God? Yeah, God brought us through. It's through our faith,
Our faith.
our hope in God that helped us to navigate in this crazy world.
Crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, today we're going to talk about something that's really dear to me, and we're going to be a little bit transparent because I want to talk about grief on today. Grief. G and George, R-I-E-F. Grief.
The 5 stages of grief.
Okay, we're going to talk about the 5 stages of grief. But before I get to that, I have to just want to lay a little groundwork here. I just lost my dear, loving mom. Well, I want to change that. I don't want to say lost. My mom slept into eternity.
Yeah.
She has switched bodies. She has put off this old fleshly body and has gone up and transformed into her spiritual body. Okay, so she's still alive, but in a different atmosphere.
Yes.
And the Bible calls it sleep.
Sleep.
She's sleep.
Yeah.
This is resting.
Resting. Yeah.
So I'm happy in that I know that my mom is still alive. Her work on this earth is done.
Yes.
It's complete. And she had a tough road. She had a tough journey. An awesome story to tell that I feel like she has not told, or maybe that we haven't really shared
Yes.
with the world. How powerful, how courageous, how strong, how bold, how wise my mother was. She has left us a legacy. And the great part about it, we saw her go through this. We saw her navigate in a world of disadvantage. We saw her navigate in communities, and we saw how she interact with the least of these, with the low, what we call the lower class, the lower status people. We saw her, navigate and communicate her love and compassion for God to people.
Yes.
Yeah, mom did a lot in the state of Chicago, and unfortunately, I just think that some did not fully understand my mother, and that's the part that probably makes me a little bit angry. Is that how she was unique, and so is our family. Very unique in that people don't quite understand us.
Yes.
But what we know is that come to learn and love about ourselves is that we are unique and we are different. And in certain places we are more acceptable than others. In Chicago, we was not so different in that um, in the church they understood our spiritual gifts, but coming to Kansas, uh, it was like not taking. Um, it was like looked at as being odd and different,
Yeah, I'm different.
odd and different.
I'm different.
And what I've learned about my mom is that mom was nowadays we're living in a time where there's a lot of prophetic teaching going on, a lot of propheticness. And I thought, man, what that was made us our family so different is that we were people, a family that was prophetic before its time, before it became known or acceptable. We grew up in a Pentecostal church, and our church was a little bit more open to propheticness, and didn't see it as being odd or weird. But Kansas, mm-mm. During that time, they saw it as being super spiritual, super what do they call that, Johnson? Super holy.
Yeah.
You know, they put those kind of labels on people. You know, so it was not received well here in Kansas. But now it's received because people are embracing the prophetic era, this prophetic season, and they see it in action. And I see more of my mother and our siblings in others when they when they are walking in a prophetic time, walking in a prophetic exhortation. I'm like, wow, that. So I'm thankful that my mom had opportunity to at least see that, you know, that uniqueness and see that God had gifted us when it was not even acceptable. And we endured the criticism, the isolation. We endured the rejection, the people saying negative things about us, trying to downgrade us. But in spite of what they tried to do, they could not hold us down. We have rose to the top. What do I mean by rose to the top? Not necessarily in money, but in success and knowing who we are and being comfortable in our own skin. So that's why I said we have rose to the top. And we can walk and we can help others to be comfortable in who they are. You know, so let's go through the 5 stages. Mr. DJ is kind of like pointing me like, get back on task. Okay, so the 5 stages. Number 1 is denial. Number 1 is denial. Number 2, let me just go through right fast. Number 2 is anger. Number 3 is bargaining. Number 4 is depression. Number 5 is acceptance. Okay, just to make you aware that if you're going through grief or loss, these are some of the feelings you may have. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to come in that order, okay? Some people might hit acceptance first, you know, meaning that, you know, that they have accepted the loss or the death of their loved one.
Yes.
So that may be first, you know. If so, you can identify what stage you're in by the definitions that we're going to give to you. So for number 1, Mr. DJ,
It's denial and isolation. And what does it mean? I'm going to read. It says, let's start with the first stages, which often comes first, but that may also continue throughout the process of grieving.
Mm-hmm.
There is shock,
fear,
and confusion, all rolled in one or more reactions to the news of the loss.
Mm-hmm.
The first comes the now. The first reaction people often have when Learning about death or impending death of a loved one is to deny that it has happened. That is because reality is that none of us want to accept the fact that a person we love is no longer here and that we can no longer see or talk to them. And now is also how we deal with what we can be overwhelming, who become overwhelming an amount of emotions. In this way, the now becomes a defense mechanism to protect us from the overwhelming emotions. We want to bury our heads in the sand rather than address the fact that our loved ones has died. Then comes isolation. It is this denial that can often move us into another common reaction to grief at this stage, which is to isolate ourselves. By doing so, we might be able to avoid reality. However, it is during this isolation where we might also wonder what the point is to life if we just die and those around us die. It's a natural reaction to then not to want to connect to other people who also will eventually die and leave us with the same overwhelming emotions. That sense that life is meaningless can paralyze us from moving forward and coming to terms with the reality of death. You may also feel compelled to separate yourself from others so you don't have to answer their questions about this loss. Therefore, isolating yourself is a way to further and deny what happened. After all, if you don't talk about it, then it didn't necessarily happen. Dealing with denial and isolation. For most people who experience grief, this stage tends to be a temporary response to an initial physical, mental, and emotional pains that come with the news of our loved one's death. However, others may experience a much longer state of denial. Some of those we have helped have gone through the funeral insurance claims and other paperwork, but still experience a sense of doubt about what actually happened. What's difficult is contending with the enormity of such a loss. However, there are ways to address the now during the grieving process. First, know that the now is a normal reaction to such a loss. You can consider some distractions that can help cope for a while. At the same time, you need to be honest with yourself. Cry and let those emotions rise to the surface. If you cannot move past the denial stage, get professional assistance from a grief counselor or therapist. It is also important to actively stop isolation if it's possible, even in the dearest moment of wanting to be alone. It's most important to reach out to others, especially those that have been through it like you. That means seeking support from grief groups that you can spend time with a person, or if you are not yet comfortable with that, you can consider online support groups, many of which are available to social media sites.
All right, that is good information. Denial and isolation. Now, denial, shock and being what was the other one? Shock and well, we know isolation. But I'm not sure. Denial, is it related to me?
Fear,
Shock and fear,
confusion.
confusion.
Evolve up into a reaction, mini reaction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was not when my mother slept into eternity. Um, and I mean, that was not a denial thing for me. Basically, that's something I didn't experience. Um, Isolation. I guess it goes with that because if you're in denial, if you in shock, then you're not gonna want to have a conversation. You're not gonna want to interact with people who's gonna make you aware of that.
Yeah.
Who's gonna communicate that your loved one is no longer here. So see you want to be by yourself or just not want to be bothered.
Yes.
Um, so that in this particular um, stage,
Yes.
they put denial and isolation together.
Yes, they did.
Now, while I did not experience denial, I kind of, I'm not sure if I kind of want to say I did a little bit experience isolation in that it's not that I did not want to, I don't, because my mother just passed. So we still got a long way to go. It's not that I don't want to be around people. It's just that I may not want to talk.
Right.
Me talking might cause tears. And so that may be the thing that I'm trying to avoid. And sometimes it's just a heaviness there. Sometimes I don't want to exert a lot of energy. Sometimes I just want to be able to sit and relax. Just sit and relax. I want to go to my most comfortable place, and just be able to sit and relax and just not deal with the heaviness of life.
Yes.
So that so that's something I think that it's okay to do, but again, you should never do that. So it should never be something that you do for a long period of time. Just watch that because that could lead to something else.
Yes. How about suicide?
Oh no, I don't.
People from that and what we just read that they have a isolation where they want to die.
Well, I can see that in the denial stage and in isolation. I mean, it just talked about people. They're not able to. They think that life is meaningless. It's like, okay, how could something like this happen? I mean, what is the purpose of living anyway? I mean, it's meaningless. So you can. So in isolation, sometimes, if you can be caught up in a state where you are trying to come up with solutions, but it could be the wrong solutions.
Right.
So that's why it's good not to just isolate yourself and try to figure this thing out in your own head, because it's going to be difficult for you to do. About being around other people, being part of a support group, it can help you to give you information, because at that hearing somebody else give you a different spin on something or give you some useful information can help you come out of that.
Yes.
And see things a little bit more differently. That's what they're saying. Don't isolate yourself, because at that point you're going to become self-centered, and your thoughts is going to be your thoughts. So no, don't stay in that. Don't stay in that stage too long. Don't stay there too long. Try to be around people. Even you might feel like you want to be isolated. It's not the wrong with being alone. Just don't stay there. Don't monitor that. If you find that, because if you find that you just can't, you just want to stay in your house or stay in the bed, that's you get into a different stage now. Well, what we're going to talk about, which it sounds like you get into depression. So in your first stage, just monitor it. You're going through the shock. Life feels like it's meaningless. What's the purpose of it? If everybody around me is going to die, this person died, that person died, and that has happened. Right now, we're in that season. I mean, we've been to quite a few funerals.
Yes.
Since beginning, August, September,
Yes.
fall.
Yes.
I mean, people are just dying. They're leaving this world, sleeping away, going into a different atmosphere. And so, you have to you have to be aware of that. These feelings are normal.
Yes.
But we want to encourage you to keep pushing forward. You're here for a reason.
Yep.
You are here for a reason.
Yes,
It may
you
not
are.
seem like it, but we all are here for a reason.
For a reason. That's
Yeah.
right. And the next one is anger.
Girl.
Anger. Once a person can see that death is a reality,
Mm-hmm.
denial disappears
Mm-hmm.
in its place. Anger is often apparent. This intense reaction to the loss comes from our frustration that we cannot control what happens in life. Anger appears in everything from resentment and bitterness to rage. There is also anxiety that expresses anger. Anger hits others, While many parts of the grief process is internalized, this grief stage tends to have external impact. That anger might even be directed at a person we love who has died or who has died. We might also take that anger out on objects, complete strangers, and others in our social circle. On a rational level, we know that a person, others around us, strangers, and other objects are not to blame for these horrible circumstances. But our emotions tell us that something entirely different. Mixed into this emotional chaos is guilt for getting angry. Often, that just leads to more frustration. Addressing anger, one of the best ways to face your anger during this stage in grieving process is to get some answers. For example, ask a physician who treated you or your loved one to provide more information on what's happened. Get additional insight into medical diagnosis and treatment. There are other ways to cope with anger too. You don't want to bottle up the anger because it will not just disappear. Instead, it will come out the worst possible time and the potential damage another relationship in your life. Find places where you can be angry without impacting others. For example, go somewhere to stream where no one else will hear. Sometimes you can even stream into a pillow. Letting that emotions out in a healthy way can alleviate some of the pressures that was building up. Express why you are angry in a journal. Out and aloud to loved ones or to a counsel or a spiritual advisor. It may also help you vent that anger also in physical activity. That is anger. Anger.
All right.
Anger. How a person can act when they're full of rage and anger.
Yeah, the grief stage. Grief stage, anger. That's probably one that I might see most of the time. I see more people being angry during their grief stages, which is one of the reasons why I decided to do this podcast on grief. And being transparent, today I was beginning to feel angry. Then I thought, oh my God, what's going on? Why am I feeling angry? About, I was feeling angry. Is that not with my mother sleeping, going on to a different place, eternity where she wanted to be anyway, because that's what we all know. We're gonna die. We all know that we're gonna leave this earth. We all know that one day our assignment on this earth is gonna be completed.
Yes.
But we have another place to go.
Yes, we do.
And we got another place to live, another atmosphere to live in.
Yes.
So we anticipated that, but sometimes when I started to feel angry over how mom's journey on this earth. I started feeling angry over, the different challenges mom had to encounter with people. And I think that's why I started to feel angry. I started to feel angry, I'm going to be transparent, even more so with church people. I started feeling angry because all my life, I've been in church, and my mom had the most contact with Christians, people who said they are saved. But she also had the most challenging times with Christian people. And so I started to feel a little bit angry on how she was treated and how she was accepted by them, or not accepted by them. Their ridicule, and how their snarling ways, their snarling behaviors. I started to feel a little angry over that. And I said to myself, how dare they? How dare you try to, snub your nose at my mother? When, you didn't, if we go back to your beginnings, you were less than yourself. How dare you? So I was starting to feel something like trying to say, these people, these Christian people they get a title and they get a church, and then they think that they are better off than the people that's in their congregation. the people in your congregation, the one that help you stay relevant. They help you build your church up. They gave to your ministry. Those people that you look down on and snarling behaviors, ones who help you. They help your ministry. Then you got the nerve to forget why you was chosen to even lead that ministry. You become self-centered. You become feeling powerful and full of pride, greed. I saw so much greed in my life. In ministry, these people are so greedy. They're just greedy. They just take. And if you ask them, what have you actually given to your congregation? What have you actually given to them? Okay, what? Oh, you gave them what? Tell me, huh? What have you actually given them? Now, my church back home in Chicago, yeah, they did give up. They gave to us. They gave to us just like we gave to them our finances. They gave to us compassion. They gave to us love. They were caring. They were supportive of us. During the holidays, we became part of the family, and time is slipping away. So during that time, and I might not get through this today, Mr. DJ.
Yeah, we'll go to another episode of the 5 stages of grief.
Right. So, in my closing on this piece is that, I was starting to feel angry. But at the same time, because God is in me, the Bible tells us to be angry and don't sin. Don't sin. In other words, sin is just disobedience to God laws. So I'm like, okay, well, the Bible says don't let the sun go down on your wrath. Or in other words, don't harbor these feelings. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. So that's why I want to encourage you. If you are in stage 2 and you're starting to feel angry, acknowledge your anger. Acknowledge it. Try to figure out why you're angry. And at the end of the day, you got to let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. And I'm going to end on that note.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Listening to Can't Catch a Break.
See you next time.
On the next episode, we will talk on the 5 stages of grief.
And the 5 stages, the last 3 we're going to be talking on is bargaining,
depression,
and acceptance. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Later, guys.
Love you. God bless you all.
God bless you.